Jonny Lieberman. This is Driving with Jonny, and on this episode, I am driving this, an honest-to-goodness, born and bred in Southern California, American hypercar. It's called the Czinger VMAX. It is the long-tail version of the Czinger 21C. That one's the track monster. This one, the top speed so high, doesn't even make sense. No, it's like 250, 260. What's the difference? There's no roads where you can do that. When I say I'm driving it, I'm really driving it. I don't know if you can see right here, but it's covered in road grime because we are on a rally. You've heard of the Velocity Invitational event that takes place at Laguna Seca. This is the first ever Velocity tour. They were cool enough to reach out to me a while ago and say, hey, you want to come on the tour? Czinger was even cool enough to say, hey, why don't you do something different? Take our $2.8 million hypercar and drive it around California back roads for a couple days. And I, of course, said, yes. We will get into the details of how it drives and what it's like to be inside of a car like this, but let's get some big picture stuff out of the way. In some ways, this thing is nothing more than a proof of concept for the parent company, Divergent Technologies. I don't really understand what I'm about to say, but using AI iterative 3D printing, they make these fantastic looking parts. And like basically you say, okay, I need something that's going to hold up like an air intake. Here's the amount of space we have, make it as light as possible. And the computer goes through like hundreds of thousands of versions. It invents its own metals, like its own alloy mixtures, and it spits out this stuff that looks like bird bones or alien tech or alien birds. And it's as if you removed a single gram, the part would fail. And so it's just this total space age looking stuff. But it's a lot more than that, and we'll get into that. But the people who put this car together, they really knew something about building a good driver's car. Not to give anything away. Again, they have never built a car before. They never built a V8 before. They built their own V8. It's a 2.9 liter. They insist on saying 2.88 liters, but 2.9 liter twin turbo V8 that revs to 11,000 horsepower, and it really revs. And then it's got two motors on the front axle that combine for 500 horsepower. That V8, it makes 750 horsepower on crummy California 91 octane. You put some 101 octane in there, it's going to make 850 horsepower. And there's an E85 version coming soon that'll make a lot more. But today, total system output is only 1,250 horsepower, which is insane. For no reason that anyone's really ever been able to explain to me, you sit tandem style. So you sit in the center of the vehicle, and then behind you, there's a passenger. It's odd, but it works. The whole body is carbon fiber, and I'm just really excited to get back in it and drive. So let's do that. And now I'm behind the wheel of the Czinger 21C VMAX, although we're going to use the Motor Trend rule, and we're just going to call it the VMAX. What's the Motor Trend rule? Whatever the badge on the back says. So despite what a manufacturer wants you to call it, if the word VMAX is there and the word 21C isn't, this is the Czinger VMAX. And this is what it's like inside the cabin, which is very novel. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say, I ain't never driven nothing like this. Sorry, I'm following a madman in a Bentley. So, okay, like this feels pretty normal because, you know, when you're in a car where the steering wheel's on the left, this is right here. But then this is abnormal, and the two together, it's really cool. You've heard everyone say, like, it feels like a fighter jet. I've never really been in a fighter jet, nor honestly have I really thought about being in a fighter jet. I have spent a lot of time thinking about being in a X-Wing fighter, and this feels like an X-Wing fighter to me. Very cool. Excellent visibility. I kind of like just sitting in this thing and looking around. Just and you know, with this really the way the A-pillar slopes forward, basically a 45-degree angle. So yeah, the thing has just phenomenal visibility, and it's really just, again, fun to just be in the car and kind of look around and stuff. Sounds a little silly, but it's just so neat and so different. Little tricky, maybe not so much to know where the left is, although your left wheel is about, you know, a foot further away from you in the steering wheel than normal. But if you've driven like a big pickup truck like a Raptor or a TRX, you're used to something that wide. But for me, the tricky part is knowing where my right wheel is, just because I'm sitting much closer to it. So that takes a little bit of getting used to, but you adapt to it. And if you've ever driven, you know, like in England, you know, it takes like an hour, and then, yeah, all's cool. Right now, I'm in street mode. Yeah, I think we're just running as a 500 horsepower EV. I'm not sure in street mode, I should ask them, if the motor in the transmission or, you know, the back of the engine is also making power. But if I push this button, I go to sport mode, and that fires up the V8. And it's a very cool V8. If you haven't heard, 2.9 liter, they say 2.88, but 2.9 liter V8 twin turbo, and it revs to 11,000 RPM, which is absolutely insane. And it revs really quick. I'm on the freeway right now. We'll get to some back roads, and I'll show you that. But it revs great. It's a X-Track single clutch, so Pagani uses an X-Track single clutch. This one's electrically actuated, so you don't get those drunken shifts at low speed. Shifts very quickly, which, again, that's why you want a single clutch. And yeah, the shifts are ridiculously fast. And again, sorry, I'm doing a photo shoot while talking to you. Noise is very cool, although from inside the car, you know, I'm going to say this. Czinger didn't spend a lot of money on sound deadening. So it's not that the engine's necessarily loud, it's that just everything's very loud. There's a lot of road noise, there's a lot of everything noise, but it's a very, in this mode, driving it this way, it's just because of the visibility and the seating position, and actually what a great job they did with the steering. Excellent on center field. It's a relaxing vehicle to drive, as silly as that sounds. When you push it, and we'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to that. When you push it, it's not so relaxing, but it's serene. I don't want to say like whimsical, but it's very relaxing, and like with all the noise, the road noise and the engine and the motor noise and the steering makes a little noise. It's kind of like being on a small jet or like a helicopter where there's just noise and your brain learns to deal with it, learns to like tune it out, for lack of a better term. And yeah, just feels like a low-flying craft of some sort. But it's very cool. The ride quality is surprisingly good. I'm going to pop back to street mode for a second, and we're on pretty chewed up pavement right here. The ride quality is pretty good. You know, you feel the imperfections, but it's not violent. It's not shocking. You know, I've driven a lot of like, I don't know, McLaren Sennas, where it's just, you just feel everything, and it's just a lot of impact, and this isn't that. Go back to sport mode, and it stiffens up, but it's just like the jounce and rebound goes from like this to like a little bit quicker, but again, it's not harsh. Very impressive ride quality. Yeah, it's just a very different sort of automobile. Like, you know, you can put your elbows up on both sills. It's just kind of neat. It's kind of different. It's a real treat to drive, honestly. And yeah, I should talk about what we're doing. We're on a road rally. This is day 2. We didn't do a lot of in-car yesterday just because we didn't really know what was happening. But yeah, we started out in Paso Robles, California, which is like Central California, middle of wine country. We drove on some crazy back roads, wonderful back roads. We got to eventually to Laguna Seca and did some track stuff at Laguna Seca, which was really fun. And then we spent the night in Monterey, which was cool. We had dinner at the aquarium, which was really cool. And now we're heading up to Santa Cruz, or the mountains around Santa Cruz, to Bruce's Cannabis Shop, which is always a real treat. See some cool stuff, see some yellow birds, no doubt, and whatever else he has going on. But yeah, so, why are we doing this road trip? Well, A, they said we could, so that's reason number one. But reason number two, it's one thing to have a car that smashes the record of every racetrack it visits, and that's cool. But what they did was they did 5 tracks in 5 days in California, and they drove to each track. So we're sort of like checking out the driving portion. Like, can you take this thing on a road trip? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. Again, it's you're not beaten up. There's a volume thing. It's loud, so your ears are a little fatigued, but it's definitely a car you can just drive normally. Could you do a road trip in this car? Is the question, and the answer is yes, you could. It's comfortable enough. The seat is quite comfortable. It's not overly bolstered, as I was kind of fearing it would be. Doesn't have a 5-point harness, thank God. Just a regular seatbelt. Digs into my neck a little bit, but that's okay. It's odd seating position. It's very loud, but you can totally do a road trip in this car. Luggage becomes an issue. Now, we should talk a little bit about that back seat. So, one of the reasons we didn't do any in-car yesterday is because, per their policy, Czinger stuck a dude named Evan Jacobs in the backseat, race car driver. And look, I'm used to that. If you drive a Bugatti, there's always somebody sitting in the passenger seat. This poor guy, 6'1", he had to sit behind me, and he said, "Oh, I'm fine, I have plenty of room." And he did. And then I got in the backseat yesterday just to check it out behind him. And if you have large calves, the backseat is no place for you. If you have large feet, wear skinny shoes. Otherwise, your legs basically stick out straight. It's sort of weirdly intimate, but it's not that bad. And, you can carry on a conversation with the person behind you. You are shouting. And you might hear right now, I feel like I'm shouting just because, again, it's a very noisy car. But, it's priorities. Could they have added sound deadening? Yeah. Did they? No. I drove the Bugatti Mistral, which doesn't even have a roof. And I was with Andy Wallace, and, we're going 150 miles an hour, and we're talking softer than this. So, after a day of, talking with Evan, I was tired from talking. But, so again, is it a Bentley? No. But could you absolutely, and again, and it's not like, you could take an F1 car and you could technically drive on the freeway, but you wouldn't want to do that. I could see doing a couple hours in this thing if you were an owner, no problem. It's not, and I just want to stress this because it looks like such an insane vehicle, but it does not beat you up in terms of ride quality, in terms of comfort, that sort of thing. Ear volume, it's pretty loud in here. Some other things that might change, get rid of these mirrors. Mirrors vibrate a lot. I would just put cameras and just stick little monitors here in the pockets of the A-pillar. That'll work fine. You don't need these mirrors. Especially at higher speeds, they're pretty useless. The carbon fiber kind of that rings the bottom of the windshield, super reflective. I would change that to matte, because there are certain times of day when you really get a big reflection, and not quite blinding, but not good. And then, I would think maybe quiet it down. And again, I'm not talking about the engine. I'm just talking about the volume of everything inside the car, which, sound deadening foam. It's an understood technology, and it would add a little bit of weight, but it's not like this thing is such a lightweight. They're saying 1,600 kilograms, which is 3,588 pounds. And I know that because I was in an elevator which said 21 persons, 3,588 pounds or 1,600 kilograms just yesterday. So I saw that. So 3,600 pounds. It's not light. If you're adding, 20 pounds of foam, it ain't hurting nobody. Other than that, and again, I've been in this car now for a couple hundred miles, my second day, and I'm really happy. It's just a really fun car to drive. And I was trying to think, all right, who's really going to buy this? Well, okay, look, there's only 80 of them. So that's, that's helpful in a sense of it's just, it's an awkward car to get in and out of. Doesn't have any luggage space, but that supercars have always been that way. I'm on a rally right now. We're on the Velocity Tour a long time ago. I'm not going to leave names and places out, but I was on a rally. Might have been driving a Bugatti with a bunch of Bugattis. And I was talking to a gentleman, and he's interested in what I do for a living. What have you driven, recently that you really liked? And I was like, oh man, I just drove the Ferrari SF90. I really loved it. It's so quick in a straight line, and even though it has two motors on the front wheels, just like this car, the steering's great, and it's just a really cool car. Great twin turbo V8, just like this car. I thought that thing was fantastic. And he goes, yeah, I've never heard of it. And then his, man boy, his assistant goes, sir, do you remember the black Ferrari that was delivered on Thursday? That's your SF90. So I think for the dudes and dudettes that habitually buy supercars and they can't even remember what they bought, they're going to remember a Czinger. It's really going to stand out. It's really going to be different. In a sense, it's going to drive different. And again, okay, let's say they had a McLaren F1, which they probably do, or a Speedtail. Sure, you're sitting in the middle, but the glass ain't right there. You got a ways to go. So the intimacy you get with, the driving experience in this car, it really is unique. I think I would love to see what Czinger could do with regular seating. And I think that would just kind of, help with overall desirability. But I'm glad they did this. It's a really unique proposition. It really is. Back at it. All right, we just left Bruce Canepa's shop, got a tour from Bruce, which was amazing. And now we're back on the rally. And, it's funny. Usually, when I'm driving a hypercar, I'm on a racetrack or on a curvy mountain road and, pushing it to the bloody edge of the envelope, 11 tenths, grab it by the scruff of the neck, give it the beans and the cane and all that British nonsense. But I'm on a road rally and I'm following a cream-colored 1959 Mercedes 300 SL. Absolutely beautiful. I don't really know where I'm going. So my opportunities to push this thing have been few and far between. We'll get there, don't worry. But it scoots. And I told some people last night, they're like, how's it drive? And I'm like, oh yeah, it scoots. I'm not kidding. It's ridiculous. I think what surprises me the very most about this car is you might be familiar with the parent company Divergent. They're 3D printing geniuses, and this car, in my mind, was always going to be a proof of concept that you could 3D print parts. Yeah, okay, it's a hypercar, it's half EV, half gas, whatever. I just didn't think it would drive very well. I don't know why I thought that, but brand new company, first product. What are the chances? Usually pretty low. I was really wrong. This thing drives absolutely incredible. Straight line speed, forget about it. Again, we're running 91 octane. The motor makes 1,250 horsepower. Well, the gas engine makes 750 horsepower. If we were to stick in 101 octane, it would make 850 horsepower. Then you have 500 horsepower. And I got to get a clarification again if that's just the front axle or if that's the 2 electric motors on the front plus whatever the electric motor in the transmission is doing. It's not actually in the transmission, in the bottom of the engine, between the engine and the transmission. So anyways, total system output 1250, very fast in a straight line. But the handling, the steering feel, the way it behaves under heavy braking, it's all stuff that, in my mind, you would need a lot of experience in the automotive world to get right. And yet, somehow, this brand new Southern California hypercar company, they got it. They got it on the first shot. And, that's just crazy, because where do they even get the talent? There aren't really car makers in LA, and I've talked to them, it's hard, and it's funny walking around the factory. I took a tour before I drove this thing, and I met a lot of employees, and most of them are I worked at SpaceX, or I worked at SpaceX. I was at SpaceX, or I was at McLaren. So the McLaren part I get, but I'm not really sure how they got it so good so quickly. But yeah, the rotation of this chassis is remarkable. And a race car driver was trying to explain it to me, but we were on Laguna Seca yesterday. Turn 2 is this double hairpin, double apex, and it honestly felt like we entered it and magically the car stopped and then just started rotating. It was, I've never experienced, granted I was sitting on the rear axle, I was in the back, I've just never experienced a car rotate like that. It was just a freaky feeling. The turning prowess of this car. And he was saying because he was trailing the rear end but giving gas, so the front motors were pulling, and that's what caused this just absolutely absurd rotation effect. And then straighten the wheel out, 1,250 horsepower, ba-bing, and it's a remarkably sorted driver's car. I'm very impressed. This engine's great. Again, first engine they ever designed, which is crazy to me. But revs. I mean, I'm getting up to 8,000, and I can still get up to 3,000. I don't have enough road, and that's going to be a constant problem if you own this car. You will not have enough road. It is just a track weapon, and it needs a really big track. The Nürburgring. I think you could drive this to Pikes Peak. I think a good driver could just, take Pikes Peak in this car, whatever class it would be in, production car. Easily set a production car record in this thing. It's just that kind of monster. So much grip. Again, it's hard to explain how well it goes left and right, but let me tell you, it goes really well left and right. Brakes are incredible. I'm in, baby. I'm a believer. I wish it had a space laser to kill the cars in front of me so I could just vaporize them and drive through their wreckage. But aside from that, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm on this wonderful winding road. And what this car needs, here's what it lacks. It needs like a space laser where I could like push a button and vaporize the cars in front of me. So I could really enjoy this road. Because man, are they slowing me down. I have the throttle maybe at 2%, maybe. And this car just wants to do so much more. It's just such an animal.
That brake check you?
Oh, I like this car. I'm getting like the first time I drove a Nissan GTR type vibes. Like, there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new car that goes really, really fast and can beat up all the other cars. And it's called a Czinger. Oh, I like this car. This is a really fun car to drive. Back to what the Brits say. Bloody hell. Oh, God. Oh, what a remarkable thing. Oh. 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 Just hugs and hugs. Oh, I'm getting like a Lotus 7 vibe from this thing. It's just so, it loves cornering. It just loves to go around corners. I love to go around corners. We've got similar interests. Oh, brakes are phenomenal. And there is so much power that you need monster brakes. But, wow. Wow. Yeah. It's too much. I mean, it's literally, I'm in second gear. I just stopped shifting. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's terrific. That's really, really good. More. Stupid Mazda in front of me. More. Space laser. All right, so we're on one of these funny roads that's hyper bumpy, super tight. No way in a car like this to go fast because it's such bad pavement that we're bottoming out everywhere, and you just wouldn't drive this type of car on this type of road, and we're stuck behind an SUV anyways. But what I did was I put it in street mode, as opposed to most of the video you've been watching. I've been in sport mode, and now it's a 500 horsepower front-wheel drive EV. That V8 is switched off, and 4.5 kilowatt hour battery. Not very big, but enough to get me 5 miles or so, and this road can't be that long. Famous last words. And then we'll turn the gas engine back on, but I'm saving fuel, and I'm on this really miserable road I don't want to be on, so hopefully we'll be off it soon. So I was saying earlier that no one really ever explained to me why the seating is like this, and what I meant was nobody ever explained to my satisfaction why the seating is like this. You talk to Czinger, they go, oh, it's like a jet fighter. Oh, aerodynamics are better. Which that one's actually pretty good, but I feel like the Aston Martin Valkyrie probably has better aero, as does the F80. So there's ways around that. But I think what they left out is we did it like this because it's so cool. It's so novel. In a regular car, you might be able to do this, but that window's, 3 feet further to your right. In this car, elbows up, baby. It's just different, but the view out, and it's hard to explain, and there is a lot of noise, but it's this kind of serene view of the world, like maybe it's what a jet fighter's like. I have no idea. I've been up in like a stunt plane, kind of like that, or like a submarine, a one-person submarine, something of that nature. I don't know. It's just a different way of looking at the world, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And you might say, who's this car for? And I don't really know how to answer that, but I can come up with an anecdote, which I'm very good at. So years ago, I was leading a Bugatti rally. I'm not going to say where, but I was driving a Bugatti Pure Sport, as you do. 6 other Chirons behind me. Talking with some of the owners, and a guy, kind of interested in what I do for a living. He says, well, what have you driven recently that you really liked? And I said, the Ferrari SF90. I really like the SF90. It's just a spaceship similar to this, 2 motors on the front axle, big turbo, twin turbo V8, lots of power, and just a great car. And he goes, yeah, no, I'm not really familiar with it. And his man boy, his assistant, whoever says, sir, do you remember the black Ferrari that was delivered on Thursday? That's your SF90. So, not that we'll ever get a wealth tax in this country, but that's who this car is for. You have so many hypercars, you don't know what you have. You can't tell them apart. You want something different. It's this. It's the cars that Zinger's making. They're different. They happen to be good. That's great. But they're very, very different. And then, to wrap this up, here's what I've been thinking about, right? So what's comparable to this thing, to the VMAX, to the 21C? What are the comps? Corvette ZR1X, the fax machine, it's also 1,250 horsepower pump gas. Hey, that's a pretty natural comparison. I haven't driven it. I think I know it's going to be about 500 pounds heavier, so that skews the power to weight. And again, and no offense to Chevy, but if you're going to define a hypercar, I think you got to have a couple ground rules. 4-digit horsepower, it has that. Funny doors, doesn't have that. Bespoke chassis, sure doesn't have that, because like a regular C8 is on the same chassis. So I think it sort of fails the hypercar test. This, the funniest doors you've ever seen, the bespokest chassis you've ever seen, and well over 4-digit horsepower. Plus, I think you also probably need a 7-figure price tag. Little snooty, but I think that's part of being a hypercar. And exclusivity. Some schmuck down the street, the contractor down the street who got lucky and built a couple strip malls, he can't have one. Only the hyper rich can have one. But anyways, in terms of performance, that I've driven recently, the only thing that's coming to mind is the Ferrari F80. $4 million, bespoke hypercar, 4-digit horsepower, very funny doors as well. Really cool doors, actually. Anyhow, but yeah, the F80, and I've been running around since I drove it saying, yep, that's the best car I've ever driven. Ferrari F80. Well, this is not far off, and it's hard to say one's better than the other because we don't have them together. This definitely makes more noises than the Ferrari. But what you got to think about is what is the F80, right? Well, it represents everything Ferrari has learned about making cars in 80 years, right? That's what the 80 stands for. It's the 80-year celebration of the company. So it's everything Ferrari knows. Well, this thing I'm in, this VMAX, by Czinger, they've been a company for 5 years, and honestly, they were like a clay model for 2 of those years or something. Like, they haven't been building cars long. And to, I don't know if they caught Ferrari, but to like get into the conversation of like the most highfalutin, fantastic Ferrari of all time, that's a real accomplishment. And then you say to yourself, well, what are these cats going to be up to in like 5 years? I'm really looking forward to it. So what have we learned? We've learned that Czinger is very for real as a car company, as a maker of driver's cars, as a builder of hypercars. We've learned that the VMAX is absolutely 1,000% for real. We've also learned, if you want to, you can use it as a daily driver hypercar. But what I've learned is as soon as I get back to LA, I'm going to somehow steal this thing and blast it up a canyon road with no traffic in front of me because, going 50 miles an hour, it's for the birds. It ain't for me. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching this episode of Driving with Jonny. Thanks to Czinger for letting me, put this many miles on their car. Thanks to Velocity Tour for having us along. Hope you love the video. Like it and share it and comment on it and subscribe. All those things really help us out. And we will catch you next week with another brand new episode of Driving with Jonny.